Hi folks, welcome back to the Self-Storage Canada channel. My name is Ethan, and this channel focuses on helping the novice or first-time developer navigate the self-storage industry in Canada. This is the second episode of the channel where I hope to release content at least monthly. This episode focuses on land identification and how to start the process of finding the right property for your self-storage development project. This episode will focus on land identification, how to find a property, as well as property features that are desirable for self-storage development and those that have potential for real problems and headaches. Okay, let's start with land identification and how to find a property. In Canada, there are a few large, free access, high volume online real estate listings. Probably the most well-known is realtor.ca, which has both residential and commercial property search databases. There's also loopnet.ca, focusing specifically on commercial real estate listings. Within each site, you can apply a series of search filters. You can target a specific geographical area, be it national, provincial, or more regional. You can search for specific types of properties, commercial, industrial, vacant land. Those are the most relevant to self-storage. One can focus their property searches to appropriate zoning designations, typically commercial or industrial zoning. You can filter for property size, property cost, setting minimum and maximum amounts according to your budget. They also allow you to search for specific keywords like self-storage or mini-storage. These types of searches go a long way towards highlighting the lay of the land, so to speak, in terms of currently available property options. Outside of the online real estate listings, you can also connect with local real estate agents or brokers in the area of interest who may be aware of specific listings or will look out for them for you. Real estate brokers who specialize in self-storage are a thing. They do exist in Canada, but much more so in the United States, so that might be an option as well. And don't discount the value of drive-bys, looking for sale signs in an area of interest. Some properties are not listed on traditional listing sites and can simply be for sale by owner. If interested in purchasing an existing self-storage facility, some have had success reaching out directly to facility owners to express an interest and establish a relationship. Even if the owner has no interest in selling at the moment, you can leave them your contact details in case they would ever consider selling in the future. Okay, so what property features should we be concentrating on? The old adage in real estate is true. Location, location, location. A good location for a self-storage facility generally has a growing population. People are moving in, not away from the area of interest. Population statistics are easily accessible with a simple Google search. Self-storage facilities near where people live and work is a good thing. A growing housing or residential community is ideal. I think people movement is important. People moving in and out of a location is always a good thing for self-storage. A good example is a university or college town where every spring at the end of the final semester, students are moving in and out and need a place to store their contents. Another good example of people movement are seasonal properties, things like cottages or ski chalets where people have a lot of stuff that needs to be stored. High visibility locations are ideal, either directly visible from the road or through adequate signage. High traffic locations close to major roadways or highways have obvious advantages. Something also to consider is traffic direction. Some highways and major roadways are separated by a median, limiting vehicle access to the property to one direction or another. Not a deal breaker, but does require some customers to exit the road, turn around in order to access your facility. Property size is an important consideration. You need to be able to develop a functional facility that considers setbacks, trees and vegetation, the building layout, driveways, parking, water drainage, snow removal and collection, and ideally has room for expansion. In terms of topography, almost always the flatter and clearer the property, the better. What's the competition in your potential location? Google search self-storage in the area. Search online maps and drive around to get a feel for the competitors and the saturation of the market in the area and the types and scale of the facilities. There are calculations based on square footage of self-storage currently available per population within a particular radius that determines thresholds that are favorable and can support further self-storage development, as well as thresholds that are unfavorable, suggesting saturation of the self-storage market in that area. These thresholds differ according to whether you're developing in an urban or rural community and the population density in that particular region. A feasibility study, which looks at several of the factors discussed in this episode, is really a good tool to objectively determine the feasibility of a self-storage development project. There are a few companies in Canada that do this, but my sense is that most of the well-established feasibility experts are based out of the United States. Unfortunately, much of the data used to generate a meaningful feasibility report, like the number of facilities, competitors, unit pricing, population statistics, volume of self-storage units, is just not that well documented in Canada. So if the data coming in is not that great, the conclusions coming out might not be that reliable. That said, some degree of an objective market survey is a very good idea. Property access and things to consider. The facility will need adequate commercial driveway access, and you may require a permit for a commercial driveway access. Access permits can be influenced by traffic patterns and proximity to major highways or intersections. A traffic impact study might be required. I actually have a bit of first-hand experience and insight into the challenges of property access. The very first property that I made a conditional purchase on was near Haliburton, Ontario. It was a great location. It was near a pretty major roadway on an intersection linked to a small highway, and it needed to be rezoned. There needed to be a zoning bylaw amendment to allow for self-storage. And as part of the process, there was a pre-consultation hearing with all the key stakeholders and players. And the challenge that came up was that the Ministry of Transportation of Ontario, or MTO, would not approve a commercial driveway permit or access to the property because it was less than a kilometer away to a major intersection. And so I couldn't close on the property. That was a deal breaker and one that got away. It's also important to consider weather patterns in your area and how snow may impact access to and the maneuverability within the property. Fire department access will need to be satisfactory to the municipality in your area. Finally, during development, access for larger, heavy equipment will be required. Related to access is security. Can the property be secured, typically by a perimeter fence or gate? Are there obstacles to establishing a perimeter fence, like uneven terrain or trees? As part of your due diligence, it's also important to understand the potential crime rate in your location. Setbacks. Setbacks will limit the development or building size. Setbacks are often influenced by neighboring properties, property lines, trees, bodies of water, roads. Setback limits are often published in the zoning bylaws of the city or municipality you're building in. When purchasing any property, it's important to be aware of potential environmental considerations, or EPAs, Environmental Protection Acts. These acts protect destruction or contamination of waterways and sensitive environmental sites. Soil conditions and the potential for ground erosion. Soil conditions need to be able to support the building process, the buildings themselves, and traffic. Municipalities will often require soil testing as part of the site plan approval process. It's important to be aware of the potential for contaminated land, commonly seen on land use with gas stations, auto body shops, or marine service shops. Be cautious, as the cost of land rehabilitation or decontamination can be uncertain and sometimes very costly. Site visits. If possible, visit the potential property during different times of the year, during different seasons, particularly in the winter and spring, to better appreciate access, stormwater drainage, snow patterns, lawn care, and landscaping requirements. While technology allows many self-storage operators to manage facilities remotely, nothing is entirely remote or passive. It's best to focus on geographical regions that are reasonable for you to develop, be it national, provincial, or more regional. Keep in mind that development in particular and management require a ton of site visits. One final comment. While we all want to purchase the perfect property, that in fact might not exist. Each property is going to have its own advantages and disadvantages, and it's important to select one that's manageable, that's workable, but don't let the pursuit of the perfect property get in the way of your self-storage development project. That's really it for now. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and comment if you're enjoying the content. See you next time.